This is the Eastern Bloc, a very Western European-centric term used to describe the communist European countries to the east. During the Cold War, Europe was literally split in half. The western bits experienced rapid post-war economic growth, whilst the eastern bits generally lagged behind. With the fall of communism, the former Eastern Bloc countries were free to do some catching up with its western neighbors. So, after more than 30 years of hustling, how are these former Eastern Bloc countries performing? Well, let's start off with the Central European countries, who will absolutely hate you if you call them Eastern Europeans. East Germany got sucked into West Germany, and the difference is still evident today, but will catch up with its Western counterparts sooner or later, because Germany always gets back up. Poland experienced strong economic growth, trying to be the boss in the European Union, but everyone knows who the real boss is. At least Poland gets to dominate the meme culture on the internet. Slovakia and Czech Republic are doing quite well in their own rights, striving to relive its glory days of Moravia, the very essence of being Central Europeans. Hungary is doing fine, with a lot of right-wing tendency, and still cannot get back its former territories. Moving on to the Baltic States, they became Baltic Tigers, and wanted to be known as Northern Europeans instead of Eastern Europeans. Estonia still cannot into Nordic, but good effort. Going down to Southeastern Europe, Moldova is torn apart by this breakaway unrecognized state in limbo, and can be described as the poorer Russianized version of Romania, who absolutely loves wine, singing on planes, and playing the saxophone. Romania and Bulgaria improved, but are considered the poorest countries within the European Union, and they supplied the cheap labor. Romania later became famous for being associated with this waifu. The South Slavs went into absolute chaos after the fall of communism, with independent countries forming out of the breakup of Yugoslavia. This includes Slovenia, who tried its best to distance itself from being labeled as Balkans, and it's actually the richest ex-Yugoslavia countries, and in fact has now surpassed some non-ex-communist European countries like Portugal. Slovenia also managed to supply a first lady to the United States. Croatia hogs all the coastline, sad Bosnia. Due to its long and beautiful coastlines, Croatia has an enormous boom in tourism, also partly popularized by this polarizing show. Croatia also almost got the World Cup, almost. Bosnia and Herzegovina are still having inter-ethnic split, but they managed to coexist peacefully, for now. Montenegro is just kinda there minding its own business, existing peacefully after being split off from Serbia in the mid-2000s. Serbia is like that former boss whom you fear, but now is trying its best to get into your new company, and is very good in sports. North Macedonia is still hated by Greece due to historical claims of more than 2,000 years ago about some bloke. Albania is kinda there, though not having the best reputation in Europe. Albania and Serbia bicker with each other constantly due to territorial disputes. Moving on to the legit Eastern Europe, Belarus still misses the good old days of communism, and is now basically the mini-me of Russia. Ukraine is experiencing bipolar disorder, being torn between the West and Russia, literally. Its economy went downhill after the fall of communism, and is still currently in shambles. The mail-order bride industry is booming though. And of course, there is Mother Russia, who went downhill after the fall of Soviet Union, but has now risen up again to dominance, stretching its hegemonic power across the globe. It has the crude oil muscle and weapons to leverage its way back into world geopolitics. So, after 30 years of hard work, who is the best performing former Eastern Bloc European countries? In terms of economy, it is probably Slovenia. In terms of hegemonic power, who else? Oh, by the way, technically these countries are also considered as former Eastern Bloc European countries, but they do not really get the spotlight because they are not located next to Western Europe. Sad. The lesson from the former Eastern Bloc countries is that, if you do not bounce back up and improve the crappy situation which you did not even create in the first place, you will be left behind, and blaming the former bully does not really help. Ex-British colonies. With the current rise of Russia, Europe is looking to be torn in halves again. Will there be an Eastern Bloc 2.0? Maybe, but probably not as intense as the first version, because now both sides of Europe needed those sweet Chinese money. Thanks for watching.